Yeah. Right, here. Good afternoon, everyone. Thank you very much for joining us. This is Startup Product and Tech Q&A. We've been doing this now for about 4.5 years, or just over 4.5 years. And the idea is quite simple. We're here to help startups like yourselves with whatever questions you may have in terms of your product and tech journey, in terms of building that early stage of yours. You see, unfortunately, over 90% of startups fail. And the top three reasons for that are: one, market fit; two, running out of money; three, not having the right people. But when it comes down to it, number one reason startups fail is because they can't get their product or tech right. Because nothing screams more product market fit than your ability to build your early stage as you should. And that's why I normally do. I annoy the believing Jesus out of some of the top people in our startup ecosystem to come and spend an hour with us for free to help you with any clarity you may need, or questions you may have, or ideas you seek in terms of building that early stage product and tech of yours, whether it's, let's say, product roadmaps, design, prototype, perhaps your testing, maybe your MVP, and anything in between or beyond for that matter. The idea is quite simple. If you are here with us, there are no wrong questions and there's no need to be shy, because it's a learning curve for us all. Now, the way it works is, if you're on Microsoft Teams, you drop your question in the chat, we give you the mic, introduce yourself, and then fire away with whatever question you have for our amazing panelist. If, however, you are on the live streams, whether that's LinkedIn, YouTube, Facebook, or Instagram, sorry. And actually, I think we're also live on Twitter today. I hope so. Unfortunately, we are unable to monitor your questions there live. So if you do want to ask us anything from those live streams, it won't work. So what you'll need to do is come and join us here on Microsoft Teams. The quickest way to do that, it's simply to go onto our website, startuptoscaleup.club. Again, it's our website, startuptoscaleup.club. You scroll down a little bit, you'll find today's session, which is Startup Product and Tech Q&A 173. There, you'll be able to then click join. It's a quick registration on Luma, and that will get you on to our call here on Microsoft Teams. Because it's audio only, means that it's easy for you to tune in from anywhere via any platform or device. In terms of the actual agenda, it's quite straightforward. If you are here with us, we're going to have some quick introductions. Then we'll open it for some quick do's and don'ts when it comes to early stage built-in from our panelists. And then we'll open it for questions from yourselves. Again, the best way to do that is to join us here on Microsoft Teams, which is audio only. Otherwise, none of the live streams are monitored live. So I guess without further ado, my name is Anton Cole. I'm an Albanian in London working with startups normally right after they get investment. I embed within their teams and help them hire and keep the right people. I also do some growth advisory work and help some angels and family offices with their due diligence and assessment. I think we can start with Mario, then Mark, then Martin, and then Eugenio. So Mario, Mark, Martin, Eugenio, please. Take it away, guys.
Thanks, Anton. Hi, everyone. My name is Mario Tomic. I'm Croatian, living in Spain. I work as a CTO for non-technical founders for small to medium-sized startups and companies, helping them with building product, managing teams, managing budgets, and so on. Happy to be here as usual.
I'm Mark Stanton-Bennett. I am a fractional CTO, CPO, and I've been consulting to high growth scaling businesses for about 7 years. Previous to that, 27 years capital markets, running product and technology functions for investment banks, predominantly proprietary trading. And prior to that, astrophysics, software engineering, where I was building large scale telescopes for Cambridge University. So that's me.
Mark Nectus. I'm a multi-award winning innovator. I do both fractional AI work where I help very large companies as well as medium companies with their AI strategy and solutioning. But I also recently started my own AI startup, Green Tech AI, which is about giving any company an army of digital workers, and it's all based on an open source platform.
Eugenio Galiotto, fractional CTO and fractional Chief AI Officer, serial founder. I've been part of accelerators like Entrepreneur First. I founded a fintech startup in the Bay Area, BC Scale, and I've also built many products, mainly in full stack and mobile, and in the last 3 years, all in on generative AI, agentic AI, and advanced application across different industries, from fashion like Dolce & Gabbana and similar, to real estate, some of the most successful AI examples in the UK, and in Australia and the United States.
Thank you very much for that, gentlemen. Well, you've heard them, people. We've got 4 amazing product and tech people with us today, and they're going to be here now for the next 51 minutes. So let's take advantage of them. Let's start now with, again, I guess with Mario, Mark, Martin, and last but not least, Eugenio. What is one do and one don't that is important to you, gentlemen, when it comes to building early stage? And please don't use it for both. So don't use the same logic for both the do and the don't. But if we can pick each a different one, that would be great. Let's start with Mario, Mark, Martin, and then Eugenio.
Yes, sure. Well, I mean, the the big one is to start selling early, start selling before you start building, and not the opposite, which lots of founders still do. They build it and then they realize, oh, nobody wants to use it, right? So don't start building before you have someone, some interest already there. And do take shortcuts, do cut corners, and for early stages that's necessary, because time is your biggest enemy. And you usually, you don't have capital, you don't have time. So whatever preserves capital, whatever saves time is probably good for you, even if it's not technologically the best choice at the moment.
Yeah, do make sure that whatever you're building solves a real world problem, and you've tested that. And don't wait for perfect. Ship as soon as you can and iterate with customer feedback.
So I actually made last year the mistake of build it and they will come. It doesn't work. I made some solutions. I showed them to everybody. Nobody really wanted it. So this year I changed my technique. I went to work for lots of larger and medium-sized companies, understanding what they need, and then made a solution for a common problem I saw. And basically it works too well, in the sense that now everybody wants it, and I am struggling to get the solution up and running on time. So I can give you an advice: don't build it and they will come. Check out what everybody needs and make that via demos, and then build it.
So on the do, I would say be fast, yet be persistent. So fast doesn't mean that you should stop very soon. You should fail fast, yes, but then you should be persistent on trying to find your problem, your solution, your edge in some sense. In the don't lose momentum. Try to find always a way to be energetic, because if you lose energy, you definitely are not going to make it.
Those are some great do's and don'ts, gentlemen. Thank you very much for that. I guess it's time to now go on to some questions that were sent in to us. But just before that, a quick reintroduction, I guess, of the conversation and why we're here today. I've just been made aware that unfortunately, in some of the live streams, it says Startup Growth Q&A, and that is tomorrow. You'll have to forgive us. I've made a mistake on that. This is Startup Product and Tech Q&A. We're here to help you founders with whatever questions you may have as you build your early stage product or tech. Whether you want to ask our brilliant panelists on anything to do with your product roadmap, your design, your prototype, your testing, maybe automation, tech debts, your full stack, how to get an app out there, maybe a landing page, or building and launching your MVP, and anything in between or beyond for that matter. Again, there are no wrong questions and there's no need to be shy. We'll be here for the next 46 minutes now. And all you have to do is make your way onto our call here on Microsoft Teams. So if you're on LinkedIn, YouTube, Facebook, Instagram, or Twitter, as it's now known, X, you'll need to make your way here because we're unable to monitor your questions there live. So quickest way to do that is to go onto our website, startuptoscaleup.club. So again, go to startuptoscaleup.club. That's our website. Scroll down a little bit. You'll find today's session, Startup Product and Tech Q&A 173. Click join. It's a quick registration on Luma. That'll get you, and there you'll find a link for today's call. And then through that, because it's audio only, it means you can join us from anywhere via any platform or device. Once you're here, simply drop your question in the chat. We'll give you the mic, introduce yourself, and then fire away with your question. We'll now go on to our first question for today. Tech for tenant onboarding. They're based in Birmingham. They're planning to go for Series A in Q3 next year. The situation is that they find resistance from mid-tier landlords. So our tenant onboarding prop tech is struggling to attract mid-tier landlords due to concerns over integration costs. What acquisition techniques such as tiered subscription pricing or real-time data sharing dashboards could demonstrate ease of implementation and operational benefits to hesitant property managers? Okay, and I have just messed up because unfortunately that is a growth question, which is why I'm guessing we went on to our, oh boy, you'll have to forgive me, but I'll find, because it's another prop tech. So forget that. I'll put in another question. My marbles here, aren't I? Okay, here we go. I'll read this second one out loud. Oh, Jesus. Okay. Prop tech founder, again in Birmingham, seed architect. Sorry, there are seeds. He's got an architectural background. We're building a platform for homeowners to track renovations and improvements. How do we choose between a monolithic architecture or microservices for our backends, given that our platform will have multiple features like budgeting, project management, and contractor ratings? What are the trade-offs for each approach in terms of future scalability and ease of development? The question is in the chat for the panelist to refer to it if you need, but I read it out loud for the live stream. So maybe we can start with Mark, then Martin, then Eugenio, and last but not least, Mario. And if we can take about a minute each, please, Steve.
So I think I can be relatively quick on this. I think the question is around scale. So it really is going to depend upon what the scale and throughput of the platform is going to be as to whether you choose monolithic or microservices. So monolithic obviously gives you ease of deployment and easier to work with, but it's going to cause you potential issues in terms of maintenance scalability. Scalability as you move forward. Microservices going to give you that scalability, but is obviously more overhead in terms of maintenance moving forward. So I think the question is around, throughput and scalability in terms of what your future needs are going to be in terms of your customer base. So that would be where I would start. I think if you're seed and you're trying to get traction with initial customers and you've got a relatively small budget in terms of development, then I'd probably be going to start with a monolithic approach just for ease of deployment, ease of kind of usage to start with.
Yeah, I couldn't agree more. Most startups should go monolithic as long as they don't have a scalability problem. Then this is the cheapest, fastest way to get to market. And as Anton said in the beginning, 90% fails, and they don't necessarily fail because they can't scale their platform. They fail because they're building something nobody's waiting for or some other reason. So go monolithic, validate that the market wants it, and then you can go microservices. The exception would be if like you're building a platform or something that like it has to be used by many different, and you're advertising it as a sort of microservices platform. But otherwise, for this type of startups, monolithic is a better one.
So this is always an easy one. Monolithic forever. The real problem is that if you come up with this question, it's possible that you are also over-engineering other parts of the process in some cases. So I would consider even that it's possible that you are over-engineering some other parts as well.
Seems like there's a consensus here, so I don't think I have anything to add except to agree with what the guy just said.
Amazing. Thank you very much, gentlemen. Glad there is consensus. Right. I've edited the second question, so I'll read it out loud for the live streams. And again, you gentlemen can refer to it here in the chat. And by the way, speaking of the chat, we've had about 290,000 people that have tuned into these sessions. Lately, many of the founders have been quite lazy and sending questions instead of coming to ask them live here. I get it. There are plenty of reasons to do that. But just a reminder that one, you being here live makes for a much more pleasant and better and interactive conversation. And number two, I guarantee that you'd get much better answers. So you can send questions, but do it at your own peril. On the other hand, speaking of all those people that have tuned in, none of that would have happened without people like Mario, Mark, Martin, and Eugenia. So perhaps if you chaps want to drop your LinkedIn URLs in the chat and just a couple of words about what your strength is, or as in what you like to get involved with startups, please feel free to, in case people going through the recording want, or those that will eventually join here, want to reach out to you, please feel free to do that. Right, now question two is another prop tech. They're based in Manchester, seed stage, used to be a real estate agent, so an estate agent, building a tool for property managers to track maintenance requests. We've been focused on property management features, but we're considering adding tenant-facing functionality. How can we test whether it's worth investing in it? So I know this is as technical that you're used to, more on the product side, but maybe we can start with Martin on that, then go to Eugenia, then Mario, and then Mark, please.
Yeah, so to test any new feature, my suggestion would be go to something like lovable.dev. And with prompts, you can make a click-through solution that will show how these tenant-facing functionality can look like, and then you have to show it to people and get feedback. It shouldn't take you more than some hours to do. So in hours, you should be able to have what your new functionality would look like. You can then validate that people want it. If they don't, then tomorrow try another thing and another thing and another thing until people knock down your door because they want what you're building.
In general, I would consider having many conversations with the current users, especially where possible power users. And maybe you want to make it more granular. Instead of starting with the entire feature, you may start with a small part of it and start with the experiments that could grow into a bigger feature.
I mean, if they don't know, they're still building, so they don't know if what they're building now if it's gonna stick or not. So I think more generally not the best idea when you pre-launch, right? So it's maybe better that what you already decided to build to kind of expand on it, make it better, make it because you probably cannot solve more than one problem at a time on your launch date, right? So if you can solve one problem well, then you might have opportunity to solve more problems, right? But if you go to market, the idea, okay, I'm going to solve 5 problems at once, then it's going to be tricky. So I would say don't build more than you have to, and what you build, it has to solve actual problem, right? And maybe from there, the founder can figure out what to do. But I mean, it's hard to say now, don't build this feature, don't build that feature. But generally speaking, if you can solve one problem, good, that makes sense. But aiming to solve more than one problem, at once, it's probably too much for, again, cash strapped and time. Startups that don't have time, they don't have, they're always behind the schedule. So yeah, that's how I see it.
Oh, sorry, guys. I was just digesting everything that's said. Yeah, it's good. It's a good point that Mario just raised. I'm just reading the question, and the immediate thing that sprung to mind was, you're building a tool for property managers for maintenance requests, and you've been focused on management features, but you're considering adding tenant-facing functionality. I'm wondering if that hasn't come up as part of the sort of conversation on the process that you've had with property managers in identifying, prioritizing features for them, that they've said, oh, it'd be great if our tenants could do this. So I'm wondering where that's come from, because it kind of seems to make sense to me. If you're building a tool for maintenance requests, that it would be nice, I guess, or it'd be useful for property managers to have those tenants make those requests directly to them. Anyway, I'm thinking off the top of my head here. I'm just reading the question and thinking maybe that's already come out of the conversation you'll have around the requirements gathering piece. However, if it's not, then I would back up Mario's point here, which is, focus on doing one thing well, get that right, and then go to look at how maybe you can extend that product to increase the number of features to go solve another problem really well. So maybe start with the managers and then talk to the tenants. The way to validate this, if you get to that point, as other people have said here, is go talk to tenants, right? I mean, go talk to tenants and work out what exactly they need, and then I would not spend a lot of money going straight into breaking ground on writing code to do that. I would validate it using high fidelity prototypes and other tools that are out there to increase that feedback from those potential customers. So that's my take on it.
That's some amazing stuff from all of you. Thank you very much. We'll now move on to the next question. I'll put that in the chat. I'll read it out loud for the live streams. Again, a reminder, if you're on LinkedIn, YouTube, Facebook, Instagram, or Twitter/X, we are unable to monitor your questions live there. So you'll have to join us here on Microsoft Teams. It's audio only, and the quickest way to do that is to go onto our website, startuptoscaleup.club. Again, startuptoscaleup.club. You you scroll down a little bit and you'll find today's session, which is Startup Product and Tech Q&A 173. You click join. It's a quick registration on Luma, and there you'll find today's link. So this is from a health tech founder in Liverpool, pre-seed background. She used to work for a GP. Question: we're building a telemedicine platform for elderly patients. How can we design the platform to be simple enough for users with low digital literacy while still including necessary features like video calls, medication reminders, and health tracking? Should we use a custom-built interface, or is there an existing telehealth UX framework we can adapt to our needs? Now, I don't expect you gentlemen to be experts in building telemedicine, but in terms of maybe a more sort of helicopter view of what one needs to do when looking into the best ways to design stuff, maybe if we can start with Eugenio, then we'll go to Mario, then Mark, and then Martin, please. What would you do here?
Well, I will take in consideration the apps dedicated to old people, because they have accessibility features, and they're structured in a way that allow for mainly accessibility and clarity. So I will start from there. I will picking examples here and there, or I will focus on a UX designer that's specialized in these things.
This is a tricky one. I'm not sure if there is uh, a framework just specifically for this, but what founder can do is just borrow some ideas from kind of applications that are already there, that are tailored to old people. Is that even is that even okay to say now, to elderly people, right? And borrow from there, but it's going to be challenging from UX perspective, that's for sure. And probably some kind of different channels needs to be considered, like text messages and all of that, that work with this demographics. But yeah, it's definitely going to be a lot of attention to UX, and probably some specialist knowledge there around how to get them on board, like just like simple things that, as okay, let's validate your email address, is something that they might have problem to grasp, right? So and is it even the web as a platform, or is it more like mobile app? That's also another question. It's probably, I don't think it's a browser and a computer as interface. That's also something to consider. So I would start with figure out what the platform would be, and then go back from there and kind of see what's going on the market that works specifically with these demographics, and then take it from there. I mean, just WhatsApp works for everyone, right? So WhatsApp, and my parents are on Facebook, and they're quite happy with it. So there's way to deliver complex applications to that demographics that works for them. So for sure.
Yeah, Mark. Go ahead.
Yeah, I think it's quite a wide question, as some of the guys have already touched on this. I think what key here is working out the accessibility requirements for the majority of your kind of target customer base. So maybe it's simplified UX, and as other people shared, a lot of the UX frameworks have the accessibility features already built in, for sight or hearing. And just for simplicity, the thing that I was thinking about just jumped out my skin. And I've got an elderly mother who struggles a little bit with modern interface, but she loves voice. Like, she uses voice all day long. She uses voice notes. She speaks to her iPad, and she finds that incredibly empowering. So I think it's working out what the communication medium is between your platform and your customer base. And for elderly people, it may not be, traditional UX design. It may be working out, the optimal way to be able to communicate with your customers, dependent on their needs. But voice again is a really powerful tool if you get it right. And there's a bunch of AI experts on this call who I'm sure could help us out with give us a bit more detail on how that might work. But yeah, that would be my take on this.
Yeah, I think voice is a very good alternative in AI. It's starting to work. It's still not the cheapest interface. When I worked at Legal in general, we had a predominantly older audience, especially for like retirement and other type of businesses. One of the things that we used, except for like having a UX designer design an interface that was very simple, was also doing user testings. You can either do that in person, or you now have also remote platforms where you can do it. And you can then invite people to go that haven't seen your user interface, and you give them a challenge, go into the app and do this and this. And then you can see where they struggle, and then you can ask them questions, and then simplify. And that's not only something you should do for elderly, you should do that for anybody. In general, any complex user interface is not ideal. People want simplicity. They don't have too many free time, so they just want to get on with things.
Right, well, thank you very much for that. Really appreciate it. I think it's time we move on to our next question. You'll have to bear with me whilst I go back to our decent questions, because today, for some reason, I've managed to mess up the room. So instead, the conversations, whatever you want to call it. So instead of focusing on today, which is product and tech, I directed everything towards the growth Q&A, which is tomorrow. Anyway, I am going to put another question that is, I thought it was quite an interesting one. I'll read it out loud for the live streams, and obviously the team here can go through it in the chat and refer to it. So, our retail SaaS platform in Edinburgh collects detailed inventory and sales data from numerous clients. And as we onboard more clients, our storage costs are growing rapidly. We need a scalable, cost-effective storage solution that maintains performance for frequent data retrieval. Could you recommend a strategy to manage high-volume client-specific data, possibly through tenant-specific data partitions? Should we consider cold storage options for historical data to control costs whilst keeping current data readily accessible? Oh, good Lord, I am very happy I don't have to answer this. Okay, let's start with Mario, Mark, Martin, and then Eugenio, please.
Sure. Well, I don't think they have the problem that they're stating, right? So they say, okay, detailed inventory and sales data from numerous clients, and how do we keep them? But how much data they have really? I mean, is it what, terabytes? Like whatever is it, storage is very cheap, right? And if they really have so much data, they need to consider cold storage. That's the first case I've seen. I've seen people like having graphic studios and video studios, and they produce a lot of data, and then it becomes a problem to keep hours of footage from 10 years ago, and it adds up, right? But here we talk about textual data here, and so I'm not sure like what is their problem. So I would first,
Mario, sorry to interrupt. Could this be that they're telling little porkers, and also that maybe they just want to find a way to find cheaper way to store their data, and pretending that they have a ton of data which they may not? Because this really sounds to me like, hang on a second, if you've managed to accumulate all that data, you definitely should be big enough to have the right people to do this. Anyway, sorry, I'm just going off piste here. Go on.
that's what I'm saying. Like terabyte of storage per month is like what, 100, and that I'm talking about hot storage, like $100 per month maybe. Terabyte is like, or even less than that, right? So, and terabyte is like a lot of for this kind of data, right? So that's why it's not, I mean, for sure they can do storage, and there's cold storage, and there's a cold storage. You can with some kind of retrieval option, so you can get them within 1 hour or like whatever when you need them, right? So all of that exists, but I just and they should be able to find it easily, like if they just look it up, right? Whatever their cloud provider is, right? So I see like two possible solutions here. They have something's weird going on with where they keep the data. Maybe it's some like local data center. So now everything is, they have old machines they need to replace. So now it becomes very expensive. But cloud storage is cheap, right? And terabyte of data is a lot, right? So if they have petabytes of data, then well, we probably know about who they are, right? And they have specialists to fix it. So that's what I'm saying. And there's definitely cold data tapes and all of that you can access through console, through programmatic interface, and you can get your terabytes of data on tape and restore it when you need it in 10 years or never. And those are solutions that are known, available in every cloud provider, and they're quite easy to set up and use.
I agree. Oh, sorry.
I can't remember who was next. Go on, if you want to go, shoot.
I forgot the order. No, okay, I'll go very quick. Yeah, this is a weird problem to have. In the end, I agree that if it's not really huge amount of data, there's plenty of solutions to fix this cheaply and safely. But I think that if you have all of this data, the first question I would ask is, do we really need all of this data? Is there a way to compress them? And also there's a consideration with all of this data, there's some usage of this data, I guess, some analytics, some stuff. So probably the problem with this data is not just the storage, but if it's so much data, probably it's even the compute part and in general, like anything you try to do with this data. So like bandwidth and stuff like that. So it's something for specialized DevOps for sure, but maybe there's something you can reduce here.
Yeah, I was gonna a similar vein. I think if you're using one of the big hyperscalers, picking the right data storage solution for your use cases. So as other people have touched upon, if you need to continually access this data in real time, then using something like EC2 instances with MySQL is probably not going to be cost effective. There are tailored database solutions out there specifically for what you want to use. If, however, has just been touched upon, if the issue is driving insight from that data, there's a number of strategies you can take. So, for instance, you could calculate aggregated data and then store the actual raw data off-site in a more cost-effective storage solution, and just keep the aggregated analytics data available. You could calculate deltas, so the changes between those analytics, and only store those, and then put the rest of the data. So there's a number of strategies you can use effectively for minimizing. If it is a compute versus storage issue, then solutions like Snowflake are really good at solving that. I don't have a particular axe with Snowflake, but I've used it extensively because it decouples storage from compute. So it's a really cost-effective way of storing large amounts of data because you only pay for the compute when you use it. So that would be my take on that. I think it's like you just need to work out what your use case is for the data and then pick the appropriate solution that fits that.
Yeah, not a lot of other things to add. If it's like old data, you can like put it on S3 or even like on cold storage, and then just keep an index. But that will then just take a little bit longer for it to be retrieved. And yes, I think sort of putting it all in a database, which probably is the reason why it gets expensive, you can do all the techniques that were just mentioned.
Thank you very much, gentlemen. Now, before we go on to the next question, on this question on data, so quite a few events that I'm going to, it had kind of died for a little bit, and now I've seen a bit of a resurgence in this, whereby I'm seeing quite a few founders who are keen on having their data storage locally, and they start giving you all this kind of new age tree hugger, like they don't want the big boys out there to have it, they want to be in control of that and all that BS. And I don't know, my first go-to is like, why do you want to make your life difficult for no reason? It's not like you have just come up with something that will send people to Mars next, I don't know, February, or, you've come up with a algorithm that will help people discover cures to cancer and AIDS and God knows what. Are you seeing that kind of, let's call it movement or trend at the moment? And what would you say to such founders? Hopefully you'll have a more technical and kinder way to tell them to stop this, I guess. How would you go about it? Any of you can take this, or I'll let you decide, chaps. All right, I'll make it more interesting. Yeah, go on, sorry.
I'll jump in, Anton. Are you talking about like sorry, people saying that you feel there's a move back to on-prem. Is that what we're saying? Like people having
Pretty much,
data.
yeah. Rather than go for the big clouds providers out there, I'm seeing quite a few more than this is, I don't know, maybe going back to, there used to be a similar trend, I thought anyway, about 10 years ago. And then it seemed to have died. And now I can see from some conversations I'm having at these events that founders are now going back to wanting to have their data, on the premises, or not on the cloud. Basically, they want to have total control.
They
And
want. Okay, so
it just mind-boggling to me.
Yeah. Do you feel there's a move back to on-prem for data storage?
A little bit. I mean, it's not that crazy, but
Yeah,
I can see a little bit more.
Yeah. And it's because they're talking ownership. And is this sort of driven by a fear around their data leakage into the AI space, or
to me, I think there's two things. I think from what I can see anyway, I think there's two reasons behind it. One, it's all this kind of activist sort of world that we live in, and two, probably mostly, is this fear that, oh my God, everyone now, all these clouds have got their own AIs and they're making use of our data to train their AIs. Yeah, and there's a lot of that out there.
Okay, I mean, my take on this is, irrespective of your kind of political or cultural views, if you're building technology, one is, the hyperscalers are the most secure environment that you could possibly utilize. Like I worked in banking, right? We had on-prem infrastructure when I started there. Like the state of cloud today, the level of security and redundancy with cloud hyperscalers, second to none. Like you can't buy that now, right? You can't compete with hyperscalers. There's no point in doing that. I think the fear around the major hyperscalers using that data to train their own AI models, I don't buy that, right? I mean, I have to deal with these hyperscalers, and I understand, unfortunately, the level of SLAs and the kind of data privacy and the data protection agreements we have in place with these people. They don't do that, right? It's as simple as that. My data, my infrastructure, it's hosted on a hyperscaler. If you're concerned about just the way that these companies behave, the huge profits, maybe the things, the way they go about doing business, then you're welcome to go to a much more smaller, more environmentally friendly cloud providers, and they're definitely out there, right? We've looked at a couple ourselves. I looked at one for a renewable energy business who wanted to host their data on carbon neutral infrastructure. So there's smaller, more boutique niche cloud providers out there, if it's a concern, and they're equally as good, right? Maybe not as cost effective, but they've got the same modern stack in place with regards to the services that they offer. That would be my take on it.
Thank you, Mark. Anyone else want to chime in on this?
I don't see it really. Like what I see is just people thinking and not believing those Geminis and open AIs, that they're not gonna use the data to make decisions about their models. Which I also kind of, I mean, I can relate to that, I mean, so I don't know if there is some sort of like clever legal way to kind of, but on the other hand, if you have your emails on Gmail, and then you worry about
Exactly.
if your prompts are gonna be, so it's kind of ridiculous, right? I mean, but at the end, really, the problem with cloud is it's very expensive, right? And and but on the other hand, what can you do, right? So I don't see really that people are coming back outside of this, let's say fringe circles, tech punks or like people that want to, like, I want to control my data. I have some friends managing their own mail servers, right? Because they want to control communication on their own, and they don't want their emails to go through to Gmail. But that's they're just that. It's not I don't see that movement. I don't see it.
I agree.
No,
Yeah,
go ahead, Eugenio. Sorry.
Yeah, so I agree that it's so having your own platform on premises an overkill for many reasons. And in general, like at some point, you may have problems that well normally don't happen in cloud providers. So at the moment, not most people probably don't buy the fact that they have their own stuff, and I agree it's more like activist like. Some can talk about saving money, but the real problem is availability, infrastructure, you know, resiliency. All of these things are essentially the reason why just to scale very quickly with AWS or DigitalOcean, maybe you optimize, but it doesn't make sense to make your life so complex for poor reasons.
Mr. Hectors, anything to add here, or shall we move on?
Well, I work with like companies that can sell you the hardware if you want to. And most of the use cases aren't small startups, but more large governments and banks and so on that like have to comply with regional privacy laws and so on. And those are the reasons why you still want to run your own. There's also sometimes availability of like GPUs and so on. So if you rely on the clouds, that sometimes might be that they're not available. But outside of that, I don't see any reason why a startup should worry about this.
Thank you very much, and thanks for your help today, Eugenio. Have a good one. Right, Joe, I think we've got time for one more question then. I'm not even going to bother waiting for somebody to come and join us from the live stream, so we'll go to our last question that was sent in. I'll put that in the chat, but I'll read it out loud for the live streams. This is an agritech founder in Norfolk, pre-seed, farmer, owner background. Actually, yeah, that came through Instagram. So the family has a farm. Problem: developing a subscription service that delivers precision farming data to small scale farmers. We want to build a SaaS platform for farmers, but most of our target audience has limited technology and poor internet connectivity. Should we focus on building a mobile app that works offline, or invest in improving our web platform's accessibility? What are the best ways to deliver high value data with minimal user interaction? Wow, this is quite a few questions. Maybe we can start with Martin, then Mario, and last but not least, Mark.
So I have looked into disconnected mobile apps. They're not easy to do. It is great if you need data to be available for read only. But if this specific use case involves updating that data, you'd be stuck. There's also ways to use in-browser caching, so you could have like offline documents made available if you didn't want to go full native. So that could be potentially an option to start with that before you go full native. But it would only all of these things again would only work if it's read mostly or only. Or if and that's the thing that like if you need updates to be made locally that then needs to be synchronized, which is a totally different use case, then you might want to look into something called CRDT, which is the underlying technology for things like Google Docs and so on, where you have conflict resolutions happening when two users update the same document at the same time. So those type of things might then be interesting to take a look at. So it's both an offline and a conflict resolution solution in that case. It's not easy technology, but that might be something that you might look into if that is specifically for your use case.
Thank you very much. Martin, can I ask you a favor? If you have any articles or know of any articles for what you've just mentioned, would you mind posting a link in, not here on Microsoft Teams, but on LinkedIn, because that will it's easier for people to see that on. So I've tagged you on the last live stream, basically. So under the live stream, would that be all right if you can find anything?
Yeah, just looking for CRDT, simple CRDT things.
Thank you very much, buddy. I think we said Mario and then Mark, didn't we? Take it away, fella.
Yes, I agree that building something that works offline, I mean, Google can figure it out properly. So their their apps are oftentimes terrible, especially web apps, terrible offline, right? So I wouldn't even bother doing it, you know. So we should expect some sort of connectivity is there, and go from there. I think. So yeah, that's what I think.
Thank you, Mario. Mark, what would you do here, Mark?
Actually, funnily enough, I'm involved with a project that actually has built a solution for, well, actually it's for renewable energy assets for farmers, actually. So wind turbines, solar panels, that kind of thing. So there's two approaches, and I guess it depends on the type of data that they're collecting. So if they're asking farmers to manually collect data, put it into something, and then that gets fed back into the system. The two approaches that we took is a very efficient kind of lightweight version of the app, mobile app, which can use a GSM or mobile signal, doesn't require Wi-Fi. If Wi-Fi or no signal is available, the other solution we put in is a hub spoke model. So actually you put a Wi-Fi hub in to the farm, and that provides a hotspot for your mobile devices to connect to, and you can collect the data that way. And it's the same for an IoT device. So we put IoT devices in the field that have GSM connectivity, so they can connect via a mobile signal to collect data. If it goes offline, it continues to collect data, and when it comes back online, it just pushes what it's collected back to the hub or back to directly to the Wi-Fi hotspot. So there's a number of sort of more infrastructure plays you could do to kind of increase this, but without kind of understanding fully exactly what the data they're collecting and what they want to do with it. So I've given you all three options there.
Brilliant. We've got 3 minutes to go, and I think it's time we go to some parting words. I think two of you, this is your last session this month and this year, so Mark and Martin. So we wish you a great end of year and a brilliant start to 2026, and obviously Merry Christmas and a Happy New Year if you celebrate them. Martin, do you want to give us some parting words before we let you go? And then Mark, and last but not least, Mario.
Yes, so for those that haven't checked out the latest and greatest around AI, you should, because there's enormous changes happening at the moment. Vibe coding, things like Lovable, Gamma, and so on. So definitely, if you have time over Christmas and New Year, worthwhile to take a look.
Yeah, so I think for me, I think it's, all founders out there, just keep building, right? Just keep building, keep shipping, keep iterating.
Hi, it's me again. Sorry. So yeah, I second that. Keep shipping, and with AI tooling, it's great to get you 80% there, to get you 60% there, and it definitely like lifesaver for smaller teams. But again, it's not gonna build it for you. It's just gonna get you closer to it, and of course, let's use it as the best we could, but don't expect miracles there as well.
Super duper. Well, thank you very much for your help today, gentlemen. Really appreciate it. Couple of things from me before my parting words. Number one, I think I messed up our live stream on Twitter. If anybody knows anything how to do that best via Riverside, please let me know. Secondly, we run 6 regular conversations. Monday's talent, Tuesday's product and tech, as you saw today, Wednesday's growth, Thursday's fundraising, second Friday of each month it's UK startup law, and third Friday of each month it's UK startup finances. They're all from 12 to 1 p.m. UK time. They're all available on our site, startuptoscaleup.club. So again, startuptoscaleup.club, and you can RSVP to any future session. We also have some amazing WhatsApp groups that you can join. Again, when you go to our site, at the top and bottom of that site, you'll find a WhatsApp icon. If you click on that, you'll be able to join our WhatsApp groups with fellow founders, investors, operators, and of course, our second to none panelists / mentors. Now, as far as my parting words are concerned, just remember the startup journey can be both exciting but also quite challenging. So try to have some fun in the meantime and be kind to yourself as well as everyone else for that matter too. Otherwise, hopefully we'll see you tomorrow for Startup Growth Q&A, where we can hopefully help you go from 0 to 1 or even 0 to hero for that matter. Nevertheless, thank you and God bless. Bye-bye for now.